For decades it has been one of the quiet milestones we all face. That first silver strand appearing in the mirror like an uninvited guest at a party you were not ready to attend. It shows up without warning, usually near the temples or above the forehead, catching the light in a way that makes it impossible to ignore. For most people, this moment marks the beginning of a lifelong routine: coloring, covering, accepting. But what if that gray hair is not a sentence but a signal? What if it is not just about age but about everything happening inside your body, your lifestyle, your mind? New science is turning the story of gray hair on its head. Far from being a simple sign of getting older, going gray may actually be reversible under the right conditions. This is not fantasy or marketing hype. Researchers are now uncovering evidence that human hair can regain its natural color after turning gray, especially when stress levels drop, nutrition improves, or hidden health imbalances are corrected. The implications go far beyond vanity. They suggest that our bodies are more responsive, more adaptable, and more capable of self-repair than we ever believed. The journey begins deep within the hair follicle, a tiny organ buried beneath the skin that works quietly every day to produce each strand of hair on your head. Inside each follicle lives a population of special cells called melanocyte stem cells. These are the architects of color. In youth they operate like clockwork, maturing into pigment-producing factories that infuse each new hair with rich tones of brown, black, red or blonde. But as time passes, or under pressure from life's many demands, something goes wrong. These stem cells get stuck. They fail to mature. They stop sending signals. And without pigment, the hair grows out colorless, what we see as gray or white. Until recently, scientists assumed this process was one way. Once the cells stopped working, they were gone for good. But experiments in animals have shattered that belief. In lab settings, researchers have found ways to wake up these dormant cells, coax them back into action, and restore full pigmentation to fur that had turned completely white. The breakthrough came from understanding that aging is not always about loss. Sometimes it is about blockage. Like a clogged pipe preventing water from flowing, the biological pathways for pigment production can jam, but they might still be unclogged. Even more surprising, signs of this reversal have now been spotted in humans. Using high-resolution imaging techniques, scientists have tracked individual hairs over time and witnessed something extraordinary. Strands that had turned silver during intense periods of stress began to darken again once life calmed down. These changes did not happen overnight, nor did they affect every hair, but they were real. And they coincided with measurable shifts in the proteins linked to energy use, inflammation, and cellular repair. In other words, the hair itself became a living diary of internal health. This discovery points to a powerful truth: stress does not just live in the mind. It travels through the bloodstream, alters chemistry, and leaves physical traces on the body. Hair graying may be one of the most visible markers of how deeply life experiences shape biology. Chronic pressure, lack of sleep, emotional turmoil, all send ripples through the system that can silence pigment cells. But when balance returns, so too can color. Of course, genetics still play the leading role in determining when someone starts to gray. Some people inherit a timeline written in their DNA, where the first silvers appear in their 20s regardless of lifestyle. Yet even here, genes are not destiny. They interact with environment, diet, habits, and health status. Two people with identical genetic risk may age very differently based on how they live. One might accumulate grays rapidly due to poor nutrition, smoking, or untreated thyroid issues. The other, eating well, managing stress and staying active, could delay the change by years. Nutrition turns out to be a major player. Deficiencies in key nutrients, particularly vitamin B12, iron, copper and certain amino acids, directly impair the body's ability to make melanin, the pigment responsible for hair color. B12 deficiency, often seen in those following plant-based diets without proper supplementation or individuals with digestive disorders, is strongly linked to premature graying. So is low iron, especially when stored iron levels fall below optimal range. Thyroid hormones also regulate hair growth cycles and pigment activity. When the gland underproduces or overproduces, hair can thin, weaken, and lose color prematurely. Then there is the invisible burden of pollution and sunlight. Airborne toxins and ultraviolet radiation generate free radicals, unstable molecules that damage cells throughout the body, including those in hair follicles. Over years, this oxidative stress wears down the delicate machinery of pigment production, accelerating the fading process. Smokers, exposed to both internal chemical assault and reduced blood flow to the scalp, show graying earlier and more extensively than non-smokers. Even daily habits like skipping meals, surviving on caffeine, or enduring constant burnout contribute to the cumulative load that pushes hair toward gray. All of this suggests that gray hair is less a fixed event and more a reflection of overall biological terrain. It responds to the quality of sleep, the depth of breathing, the rhythm of daily life. Which raises an exciting possibility. If we can identify and correct the factors pulling hair toward gray, could we slow it down? Reverse it? Bring back some of what was lost? Early answers are emerging. A new class of skincare-inspired hair treatments is entering the market, built around synthetic peptides designed to mimic natural signals in the body that trigger pigment production. One compound in particular has drawn attention for its ability to activate the same pathway used by alpha-MSH, a hormone that tells melanocytes to start making color. In small observations, consistent application led to dramatic repigmentation across large sections of previously gray hair. While larger clinical trials are still underway, the mechanism makes sense biologically. Instead of dyeing the surface, these products aim to restart the engine underneath. Other formulas combine antioxidants, copper complexes, and growth-supporting molecules to create a nurturing environment for pigment cells. Available through select clinics and online platforms, they represent the frontier of cosmetic science meeting regenerative biology. They do not promise miracles, nor do they work for everyone, but for some users, especially those whose graying began recently or progressed quickly under stress, results have been noticeable. Looking ahead, scientists are exploring even bolder approaches. By 2030, experts anticipate the first human trials of therapies that directly target stuck stem cells in hair follicles, using either microinjections or advanced topical gels to release them from their dormant state. If successful, such treatments would mark a shift from concealment to restoration, not hiding gray hair but healing the condition behind it. Regulatory approval will take time, focused first on safety and medical need before expanding to aesthetic use. Still, the direction is clear. Medicine is learning how to reboot aspects of aging once thought permanent. None of this means everyone will regain jet black hair in middle age. Natural aging will always bring changes. But the idea that we are powerless against the march of time is fading. Everyday choices, what we eat, how we rest, how we handle pressure, are now understood as active influences on how we age. A vacation, a period of calm, a return to balanced eating, these are not just feel-good moments. They can alter biology in measurable ways, sometimes visible in the mirror. Imagine a future where going gray is no longer met with resignation but with curiosity. Instead of reaching immediately for the dye bottle, a person might pause and ask, "What is my body trying to tell me? Could this be linked to stress I have been ignoring? A nutrient gap? A hormone imbalance?" With better awareness and access to testing, individuals could address root causes early, potentially slowing or partially reversing the change. Beauty routines may evolve too. Hair care could merge with wellness, combining scalp serums with blood tests, mindfulness practices, and dietary adjustments. Salons might partner with health coaches. Dermatologists could screen for metabolic health when patients report sudden graying. The line between looking good and being healthy would blur in the best possible way. Ultimately, this growing understanding invites a shift in perspective. Gray hair has long carried cultural weight, symbolizing wisdom for some, decline for others. But science now sees it as something else entirely, a dynamic, responsive feature of human biology, sensitive to the rhythms of life. It is not just a marker of years lived but of how those years were lived. So the next time you spot a silver strand, consider it not as an enemy but as a messenger. It may carry news of stress, fatigue, imbalance, but also hope. Because within that single hair lies proof that the body listens, adapts and, under the right conditions, remembers how to heal. The power to influence that process may lie closer than we think, in the food we choose, the breath we take, the peace we allow ourselves. And somewhere in that quiet act of self-care, a little color might just find its way back. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Gray hair might be a natural part of life, but as science is showing us, it's not always the final word. The body has an incredible ability to heal, adapt, and even reverse some of the signs we once thought were permanent, and that's something worth paying attention to. If you've ever looked in the mirror and wondered why the grays came early, or if there's anything you can do besides dyeing them, drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're all on this journey together. And if you know someone who's been fighting the roots every month, share this video with them. They might just find hope in the science. Stay curious, take care of your body, and remember, aging isn't just something that happens to you. Sometimes, it's something you can influence. Thanks for watching.